Hey, welcome. It's Julia. And today I have a really great video for you all about opening up your shoulders, so working with some shoulder mobility and how that can also help you if you're working on back bends. Also, you might notice I'm in a doorway, and that's on purpose because if you can unroll a yoga mat, you can do yoga anywhere. So if you have a small space that you're working with, like your bedroom or your office, or maybe you're in a hotel room because you travel for work, you can definitely do yoga anywhere. And that's what we're going to do today. So this video is brought to you by the yoga trapeze. You don't have to have a yoga trapeze to do this video. In fact, the majority of our flow will be done right here on the mat. But at the end of the video, I'm going to show you how some poses that you do with the yoga trapeze also translate to the poses that you're doing on your yoga mat. And when you use the yoga trapeze, it helps you with your range of motion, your flexibility, and it also can help you feel more comfortable with things like back bends, or if you're trying to work on getting upside down and you're a little bit hesitant. So make sure to stay tuned to those tips and tricks at the end of this flow. So when it comes to big back bends, there's a lot of different ingredients that go into making a pose like wheel. But for today's flow, we're going to focus on getting our shoulders prepared. So find a comfortable seat, reach your arms up overhead, big inhale. Good, and then we're just gonna start with a gentle eagle. So it doesn't have to be your biggest eagle arm ever, just start slow. So swing your right arm underneath your left arm, cross at your elbows, either grab for your shoulder heads or bind at your wrists. So in eagle, we're just bringing our shoulder blades forward and we're starting to stretch the outsides of the shoulder girdle. Good. Continue to sit up really tall in your spine, just a couple more breaths here. Notice if you can anchor down through your sit bones just as much as you lift through your crown. So already you're starting to build a little bit of structure around the spine. Good, and then swing the arms up. And we'll take it to the other side, left arm under right, crossing at the elbows to either grab the shoulders or you can bind at your wrists. Bring your armpits and your elbows in line and you draw your shoulder blades forward so you'll feel this stretch in between your shoulder blades across your back. So when we think about flexibility, really what we need to have in mind is range of motion, and there always is going to be a stopping point for everybody's structure and skeleton. So really we are only taking these stretches as far as we feel is healthful and beneficial in the body, and if you do meet a full stop, be sure to honor that. Sometimes we think that everybody needs to be noodly to get into these yoga postures, and that's not true. Sometimes we just need to investigate our own landscape and figure out what the pose looks like in our body instead of trying to change our body to fit the pose. 2 more breaths. Big inhale. Arms to your lap on your exhale. Good, and we'll take one more shoulder stretch before we come on down. So bring your right arm behind your back and then try to scratch the middle of your shoulder blades. You know, like that itch place that you can never get? Yeah, just reach your arm up there. Take your left arm and then pat your back. And it doesn't even matter if your fingers touch at all. We're just working on bringing your fingers as close together as you can behind you. And now for a little extra oomph, lean your head back into your top forearm. Good, so if you're feeling this stretch right away, you don't need to pile on. You don't have to add anything extra. If you need a little bit more, you can hook your fingers onto your clothing, or you can start to draw the shoulder blades gently towards one another. And they don't even have to move that far for you to feel that the stretch has deepened, especially for that bottom shoulder. Once you start moving your shoulder blade, you're going to notice the front side of that bottom shoulder opens up a lot. Good. Take the arms back up overhead and move to the other side. So the left arm's going to come down and then back up. Try to scratch that space between your shoulder blades. You can never quite get on your own. And then take your top hand and pat your back. Again, it doesn't matter if your fingers clasp, but they do, they do. If they don't worry about it. Lean your head back a little bit and breathe. Our shoulder is one of our most complex joints because really we're working with multiple joints. So when we think about our shoulder, it's just a whole bunch of different bones and muscles coming together. even though we just call it shoulder. And because it's so multifaceted, that is the reason that we have so much mobility in it. We're able to reach behind our back, we're able to reach up onto the countertop, whatever it is that we need, but that also means that it's very complex and we need to take our time and move slowly when it comes to finding a deeper range of motion. Good. Release that. So now we're going to come on down to the mat and take one of my favorite stretches for opening up the shoulders. Come into child's pose, so your knees are going to be as wide as your mat or as is comfortable for your body. Bring your arms forward and then bend your elbows and take prayer hands. Lay your forehead down to the mat and tuck your thumbs to the nape of your neck. So for some of us, our thumbs might not touch our neck. That's totally fine. If you have a little more space today, crawl each elbow forward once or twice. Let the shoulder blades come out and a little bit up. I know we talk a lot about shoulders need to be down away from the ears, but actually our shoulder blades need to upwardly rotate for us to find a comfortable position with our arms over our head. So it's okay for your shoulder blades to go wide and also just a little bit up so that you feel comfortable in the neck. Now, as you're in this position with this reverse namaste variation in your hands, I want you to breathe wide, breathe laterally into your side ribs. So when it comes to taking our arms overhead in anything from down dog to handstand to wheel pose, we need to also open up the side body, and one of the major muscles that's on the side body is your lat muscle. So if you tend to get real built up or bound up on the sides, just breathing wide can start to stretch that muscle from the inside out. 2 more times, in and out. Good. So I want you to be aware of the spaciousness you have in your neck right now and how your arms aren't actually touching your neck. As we shift into downward facing dog, we're going to find a somewhat similar experience. So come up to tabletop, plant your hands, tuck your toes, lift your hips up and back. But for today, keep your knees softly bent. So don't worry so much about stretching your legs. Instead, find a lot of groundedness through your palms. Bring your ears in line with your upper arm bones. And then just gently feel how the eyes of your elbows are going to point slightly forward. So they're not going to be turned in. They're going to be gently pointing forward towards your thumbs. And it doesn't have to be aggressive. So anytime you feel like your shoulders are tightening up beyond what can be comfortably held, you're probably going too far. Another nice check here is, can you soften your elbows without losing stability? As well as, can you soften your elbows without feeling any clicking or pain in your elbow or your shoulder? So if you notice the attempt to soften your elbows actually starts to feel like you're a little discombobulated in your shoulder, you may want to adjust your hand placement until you feel a little bit more comfortable. Another nice little tip or trick for finding some comfort and stability here in down dog is you should be able to have some freedom to move your neck without any pain. Good. Take another breath in. Great. On your breath out, just step your feet up to a ragdoll pose. You're going to send your knees deeply bent once again. We're focusing on the upper body, so allow your body to drape over your legs. Interlace your fingers and take your hands to the nape of your neck. Draw your elbows in. So you may start to recognize that this is mimicking the same shoulder blade situation that you had going on in your child's pose variation. So for some of us, our elbows might be a little farther out, just depending on our skeleton and also how bound we are in our muscles. But if you have the ability today, I want you to wrap your elbows in towards your hairline. So you'll notice that the shoulder blades will go wide on the back body and there's still plenty of space for your neck to be long. Take one more in breath, one more out breath. Release your hands. Step back to a plank pose and then lower down to your belly. Good. Once you arrive on your belly, untuck your toes, make your legs strong, and we'll start with a little baby cobra. So loop the shoulder heads forward, then up, and then back and down. So you feel a nice security of the shoulder blades on the back body. Press into the legs and lift up. So your knee caps are off the ground, but your feet are firm into the mat. Pull the skin of your heart forward, and then traction the heels of your hands and your elbows back. Good. Take another breath in. And on your exhale, lay your chest forward. Now we'll take a variation of Cobra pose. Fingertips will come off the mat. Wing the elbows over your wrists and lead with the back of your heart for what I call spider cobra. Lift the back of your heart, press into your finger pads, and then lift the back of your ears very last. Good. Now gaze over your right shoulder. Dip your left shoulder down and squeeze the shoulder blades into the spine. Good. Use your hands again. Inhale, rise up. So you can use your arms. Good. And then turn over the opposite shoulder. Dip the right ear low. Good. Inhale, rise up through the middle. And exhale back to child's pose. Hips to heels, press back. Place hand on top of hand, forehead down, and take a full breath in and out. Great. Now plant your hands under your shoulders, rise to tabletop, tuck your toes, and push back to downward facing dog. On your next breath in, look to your hands, step your feet forward, forward fold, drop your head. So a lot of times when we think about back bends, we focus a lot on obviously our back and how flexible we feel in our ability to open it up. But when it comes to things like wheel, one ingredient is obviously our shoulders, because we need to be able to get our arms over our head. So in something like this ragdoll variation, we're using gravity. But what I love about the yoga trapeze is we also have those little handles on the yoga trapeze to add tension, and that helps us work on flipping our grip. So when you have your hands in those handles, it's not the same as just hanging heavy. You actually have something to pull on. So you're using your muscles to move into the shape for a wheel or a handstand. But here in this ragdoll variation, then we just let gravity do the work and we melt on down. So come on up to standing. Take your hands to your heart. And we actually get to use the doorway as we continue to open up for our wheel. So if you are doing your yoga in a small space, you can utilize the doorway to get a deeper opening for your chest. So bring your right hand to grip your door frame. Let your elbow be lower than your armpit. And then bring your shoulder blade into the back body so it'll feel like you're trying to stand up really tall or lift your chest. From there, just gently turn the chest away from the door frame. And then you should feel the opening from about the inside of the armpit all the way to the center of the chest. Good, we'll take that on the other side. So just grip the door frame. Want your elbow lower than the shoulder. And then bring the shoulder blade into the back body. So you're lifting your chest, but you're not back bending in your lumbar. And then from there, just turn the chest open. Another breath, wide. Beautiful, and then release that, and we'll use the door frame now also for some stability as we come into dancer pose. So dancer is going to help open up the front line of our body and our hip flexors, which we also need as we go into wheel. So bring your right hand to the door frame and capture the arch side of your left foot. Kick back and lift the chest up. So instead of going way far forward that we usually do in our dancers, or sometimes when we're going into a balancing posture that is sometimes called bow as well, we're going to stay upwards today. Squeeze the shoulder blades together and then kick your foot into your hand. So just taking this variation of dancer that's really focused on opening the front line. Great. Switch to the other side. Take your left hand into the door frame. Right hand's going to capture the arch of your right foot. Loop the shoulder head back. And then as you kick, I want you to keep your chest up. So instead of kicking way back into your hand and hinging your chest way forward, stay upright. So if you notice that your knee is going really, really wide, hug your inner thighs a bit. Stay upright in the chest. Big chest opening, also getting a little bit of those hip flexors. Take 2 more breaths. And release. Good, so you should feel really, really open across the chest and also starting to open up in the hip flexors. So just take the arms straight up and then soften the knees, fold, come all the way back down. On your breath in, take a halfway lift, move the chest forward, and then step back to a plank on your exhale and lower down to a forearm plank. Your elbows will be generally in the same width as your shoulders, and then from there, begin to walk your toes up into dolphin. So in dolphin pose, we are exploring the same shape in our shoulders as we had in that reverse namaste, as well as the ragdoll with our hands behind our head. It's this wide shoulder blade, so this upward rotation of our shoulder blades. And then we also have our arms next to our ears, and the head is long, so the neck is not crunched at all here. And then you can walk your toes in as much as you can. Soften the knees if you need to, especially if you feel tight in the hamstrings. We haven't done a lot of hamstring opening. Press into the forearms. So this is actually a little bit more similar to the experience you're going to have in the yoga trapeze if you do flip your grip, to have your elbows up next to your ears, because there's tension, right? So you actually have to use some muscular control to be here. Press into the ground with your forearms, and then also feel the upper arm bones hug back into the shoulder socket. Take another breath in. Great. And then on your exhale, bring your knees down and shift all the way to your belly. So something that happens when we're in tight quarters is we're not doing all these big flowing movements from side to side, but that doesn't mean you can't get a full practice, because I can definitely feel that my body's working a lot. So come on down and we'll work with some similar shapes that we took in the door frame with a bow. So bend your knees, take your hands back to your feet. Hands will come to your ankles or to the edges of your feet. I like my ankles because it just gives me a better grip. Loop your shoulder heads back and then send your shins back. Work on lifting your chest up today, as well as sending your toes to the ceiling. So the back line of your body is going to turn on, hamstrings a little bit, even the glutes just a bit. Inner thighs turn on to track the knees in line with the hips, and then let the chest move forward so we continue to open the pec muscles. So if you do a lot of forward work, like driving or sitting at a desk, you definitely are feeling this one. What's really nice here is you also get that added benefit of opening up the quads and the hip flexors here. So preparing for our bridge and wheel to come. One more inhale. Release slowly on your exhale. Hands come under the forehead, and then just rock the heels a little bit side to side. And release your feet down. And then from here, we'll just flip onto the back. So come on over, and we'll set up for a bridge pose. So bridge is essentially the same shape as bow, but we just have a different orientation of gravity. So walk your heels up towards your sit bones, reach your fingertips down towards your heels, and then let the shoulder blades come underneath you just a little bit, so it feels like you have a shelf behind your heart. Press into your feet, lift your hips up, and then do that little shoulder shimmy once again, especially since that's where we're focusing today. Bring the shoulder blades into the back body. Even pressure through both feet. And then gently send your tailbone towards the back of your knees and your chest a little bit towards your chin, but instead of crunching your chin into your chest, just gaze up so your neck remains long. So this is our preparation for our wheel pose. Take another breath in. Breath out, hips all the way down. When you're in the yoga trapeze, something that's nice is we actually use gravity to come into our back bend. Whereas when we're in bridge and we're in wheel, we use muscular strength to resist gravity. So it's just working the body in a different way. One way is to get a little bit more flexibility, and the other way is to build some muscular strength. Good, so as we start to prepare for our wheel, we're going to take that shoulder position we've been working on. So flip your grip. Bring your fingertips towards the heads of your shoulder on both sides. The majority of your wheel pose is just like bridge, so you want to find that back bend first. And something to pay attention to before you even come up into your hands is, can your hands comfortably seal down into the mat? And if they can't, then you want to adjust your hands until they do. Good, so lift up into your bridge, then press into your hands and lift your chin. From there, you should see your elbows in your peripheral vision so they're not way wide. Press all the way up. So you have even pressure through both hands and both feet, and then drop the neck long in between the upper arm bones. So just like we had in our downward facing dog and we had in our dolphin, the neck needs to be able to move freely here as we come up. And that's just one little metric or check you can have in your practice to see if your bones are basically aligned the way that they need to be. You don't want to have a lot of pressure in the neck. Good, come out of wheel, just gaze up, bend the elbows, and then roll down. So you don't want to drop onto the top of your head, just roll down, and then be still for a moment. Resist the urgency to hug the knees to the chest right away. Instead, just be still. This just allows your back a moment to recalibrate before you ask it to do anything else that's extreme. Good. And then from there, just rock the knees side to side. And then hug them into your chest. Give yourself a nice big squeeze. To give the back a little bit of a break today, we're just going to take a gentle twist from side to side, knees over to the right, heart up. You don't have to do anything extreme. Switch to the other side. It's just a gentle drop of the knees, nothing huge. Come back to the center, and then for your shavasana, you're going to keep your knees bent, touch them together, and let the whole body rest. Take a couple minutes here. If you have more time than that, take 5 minutes here. Give yourself a time to really come into stillness, a meditative state, and a lot of deep breath. If you're short on time and you need to get somewhere, take at least one more full inhale and exhale. And then from there, roll to your side and press up to a seat. Great job. So as you can see, there are absolutely no excuses. If you can unroll a yoga mat, you can do your practice anywhere. And now I'm going to show you how you can also hang up a yoga trapeze and do all of this fun inversion work and backbending work inside your own home. You can try the yoga trapeze out for 30 days for only $1, and it comes with an instructional DVD, Posechart, and plenty of instructions on how to hang it up. I'm using a pull-up bar from Yoga Body. I just want to show how the trapeze can help you get more out of the few poses that we just did. We talked a lot about the importance of shoulder mobility in things like wheel. So here in the yoga trapeze, you can take a pose such as Cobra and use the yoga trapeze to help you hang and use gravity to get a little more depth in your Cobra. So you don't need to hang until you feel just super noodly and loosey-goosey, but instead you want to find that nice, gentle opening that the yoga trapeze provides. One of the best things about using the yoga trapeze is that you can partner with gravity to open up the body. So you start to decompress the joints, and you don't have to use a lot of muscle to get into shapes such as wheel and bow. Another great benefit of the yoga trapeze is that you can play with inversions and get awesome spinal decompression, which really helps if you are suffering from low back pain. But maybe you're a little nervous about going upside down, or you haven't quite built up the strength to sustain an inversion for a long period of time. Yoga trapeze makes it easy because you can just hang upside down and enjoy. You also can use the yoga trapeze to feel stronger in poses as you pull yourself up and start to manipulate the body into these awesome shapes, and you're improving your flexibility at the same time. So during our yoga flow, when we were in Dancer, we have to stand on one foot and find our balance and grab the opposite leg. But here in the yoga trapeze, we can take a very similar shape, but the trapeze itself is doing all the balancing for us, and we can focus on finding a deeper range of motion. In a pose like the double diamond, I'm not only getting this awesome inversion, but I'm able to flip my grip and find the shoulder mobility and shoulder shape I need to mimic poses like wheel, as well as forearm stand, dolphin pose, and even feeling more comfortable in downward facing dog. If you are working on an advanced yoga practice, the yoga trapeze is perfect for finding poses like scorpion. You basically are just flipping your body upside down, but instead of pressing up off the ground, the yoga trapeze is holding you in the air, and you can become more familiar with the shape in your own body. And also, the yoga trapeze comes with a 10-year warranty. So if you're trying it out and something happens, you can send it right back, and they'll make sure that it's fixed up or send you a new one so that you are always safe in your yoga trapeze and you can love it for a long time.
We at Wellness Plus specialize in all things health and wellness, ranging from yoga and fitness to massage and ASMR. Whether you are looking to target specific areas of tension or want to enhance your general self-care routine, we provide the tools you need to feel better, look better, and live better. We have courses for every level, whether you're just starting out or you're a seasoned pro. Our courses provide a wide range in difficulty to accommodate your evolving flow. Wellness Plus is available on Amazon, which you can stream from your home on your phone, tablet, or TV. Join Wellness Plus today and get your first 7 days free.